Hey there, America. This is Ben Goldman coming to you from the Ben Goldman Show. It is Monday, August the 5th, and I am here to bring you the news. Today, we're going to be covering a lot about the horrible mass shootings over the weekend. In case you guys weren't aware, there were two mass shootings over the weekend. One in El Paso, Texas, by an alleged white supremacist who, according to a manifesto, which police are still trying to confirm, was targeting Hispanics in what he said was his attempt to stop the Hispanic invasion of Texas. Now, according to that alleged white supremacist, according to that alleged white supremacist manifesto, he has been a white supremacist much longer than President Trump has been around. These are his words, not mine. He said he's been a white supremacist for a long time. He doesn't want people to give Trump credit for his actions, and that's why he did it. At the same time, there was another mass shooting in Dayton, Ohio. The perpetrator of that, according to his social media accounts, was a hardcore socialist. He said that he was trying to make sure that socialism could be enacted and didn't want to have to wait any longer. Now, I'm not sure how the mass shooting would provide that, but that was his logic. We'll go through a couple of the major statistics from these shootings. The El Paso, Texas shooting happened at a Walmart during a back-to-school sale. A bunch of people were there buying school bags, buying pencils, all that stuff for their kids. The guy runs in and starts just shooting them down, killing them all. 22 dead, over 25 injured. And like I said, his goal, according to his manifesto, was he was targeting Hispanics. It's gross, it's horrible, and to just put icing on the cake, the second that that police and SWAT showed up, the gunman came out and surrendered himself, meaning that he's arrested and he's now going to be charged with capital crimes in the state of Texas. At the Dayton, Ohio shooting went a little bit differently. The gunman there drove there in a truck, brought his sister and her friend. They didn't have any idea, apparently, that it was filled with bullets and guns in the trunk. They separated. He separated from his sister and friend, and then he started shooting at random bars in the area and killed his own sister during it. Not first, but he did target and shoot his own little sister. It's gross. It's horrible. Luckily, the shooting, despite the fact that 9 people died, the shooting only lasted 30 seconds. That's when police showed up and killed the shooter, shot him dead right there, ended his life, saved a lot of people. Thank God they were there. I mean, dozens, hundreds could have died if that man had not been stopped. Thank you, police officers, for doing that. Thank you so much. Also, if you guys are fans of the show, please follow me on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Ben Goldman Show, on Twitter at RealDannyGold, or on Podbean. It's my podcast, which is bengoldman.podbean.com. Now we're going to move on to some of the reactions from all the politicians out there. The politicians out there jumped on this immediately, especially the 2020 Democrats, in trying to show that these shootings prove that President Trump is sparking racism in the country, which is gross. It's crazy. The reality is these two gunmen, they were awful people. They were horrible people. They went and killed a bunch of people. Now they're trying to lay the blame at President Trump instead of them. It's horrible. It's gross. Cory Booker said that there was complicity in the president's hatred that led to these shootings. Mayor Buttigieg, Pete Buttigieg, who normally runs a little bit moderate, doesn't spend his time attacking Trump, said that Trump stoked many of the feelings that led to the shootings. And not only that, he also said that Trump's words condone white supremacy. This is the same president who has many, countless times condemned white supremacy, condemned the Klan, condemned the Aryan Brotherhood, and supported Jewish people openly, very openly. A lot of his top staffers are, in fact, Jewish. Most of his top advisors, Jared Kushner and Stephen Miller, for instance, both are Jewish. Both are conservative Jews at that. Won't even work on Friday nights or Saturdays. Kamala Harris said that Trump's hate words led to incredible consequences. Again, referring to the death of Americans and blaming it on the president. Bernie, who actually took a slightly moderated stance compared to the rest of these Democrats, asked Trump to stop his racist rhetoric and said that he was creating violence by saying the things he does. Again, these are people trying to put square blame on the president, but to be fair, we should have expected this because these people are running for 2020 Democrat offices. And the worst of all was Beto O'Rourke, the long shot candidate who frankly doesn't have that much support, said that Trump, when asked by the media, Beto O'Rourke said that Trump is absolutely, no doubt, absolutely a white supremacist. Here, check out some of these clips. These are some of the things that the 2020 Democrat presidential field decided to blame on the president over mass shootings, despite the fact that one of them was a hardcore and activist socialist.
We know that there's a lot of injury, a lot of suffering in El Paso right now. I'm incredibly saddened, and it is very hard to think about this. But I'll tell you, El Paso is the strongest place in the world. This community is going to come together. I'm going back there right now to be with my family and to be with my hometown.
It looks again to be another assault weapon. It looks again to be a crime of hate of some kind. And it looks again like there are multiple people killed. And we just learned a 4-month-old is struggling for their life. That's what happened today in the United States of America.
The American people are overwhelmingly united, and that is gun owners and non-gun owners, in wanting to see the passage of common sense gun safety legislation.
We have a president who refuses to protect his country from the onslaught of this gun violence.
Colorado has been touched by this over and over and over again, and we know what this feels like, the sense of shock and sense of loss that people have, and we will be with the people of El Paso just as they've been with us, unfortunately, time and time again.
We need the United States Congress to act. We have to act. There has to be an agreement that we have as Americans, that it is unacceptable that we have these incidents where people are being slaughtered in our streets.
America is under attack by lethal, violent, white nationalist terrorism. And if we're serious about confronting it, that means we have to have a different conversation than this hand-wringing and thoughts and prayers and, that's too bad. This is a national security emergency.
Well, I can say without fear of contradiction, enough is enough is enough, and it's been enough for the past 5 years.
Oh, there you have it, guys. I mean, this is sick. This is what they believe. This is what they're trying to push. We can't sit here and deal with this. We can't sit here and buy this as Americans. They're creating hate towards the president and towards his supporters, and they know it. They've seen the consequences. They know what happens. They've seen the Juicy Smollett attacks. They saw when one hardcore Bernie Sanders supporting socialist ran onto a congressional baseball field, started shooting at Republican congressmen, and almost killed House Whip Steve Scalise. And yet they have no concern about the consequences of their actions. Democrats, please, for the love of God, think about what you're doing, because you're going to hurt a lot of innocent Americans if you keep acting this way. If you agree with me, guys, please follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/Ben Goldman Show, on Twitter at RealDannyGold, or you can also download my podcasts at bengoldman.podbean.com. All right, so let's cover let's cover how the president himself actually reacted to this. First, Trump called for prayers for the people involved in the shooting, as any good president should do, because frankly, right after a shooting, it's not like the president can go there and provide medical assistance himself, but you know what he can do is he can rally up prayers and support from the country for the victims of the shootings. Not only that, though, Trump went on to openly condemn white supremacy and hate groups.
My fellow Americans, this morning, our nation is overcome with shock, horror, and sorrow. This weekend, more than 80 people were killed or wounded in two evil attacks. The shooter in El Paso posted a manifesto online consumed by racist hate. In one voice, our nation must condemn racism, bigotry, and white supremacy. These sinister ideologies must be defeated. Hate has no place in America, and we must stop the glorification of violence in our society. This includes the gruesome and grisly video games that are now commonplace. It is too easy today for troubled youth to surround themselves with a culture that celebrates violence. We must stop or substantially reduce this, and it has to begin immediately. We must make sure that those judged to pose a grave risk to public safety do not have access to firearms, and that if they do, those firearms can be taken through rapid due process. That is why I have called for red flag laws, also known as extreme risk protection orders. Today, I'm also directing the Department of Justice to propose legislation ensuring that those who commit hate crimes and mass murders face the death penalty, and that this capital punishment be delivered quickly, decisively, and without years of needless delay.
Of course, you won't hear the Democrats talking about that very much because, in their mind, he's the king of white supremacists. They're wrong, but that's what they genuinely believe. If he really liked him so much, then why would he have said that we shouldn't institute the death penalty for deadly violent hate crimes? Trump said we should execute people if they commit deadly violent hate crimes, and we should do it quickly. Not let them survive in court for years. Not let them sit in the prison and build up a following like Anders did out in Europe when he went through and executed a bunch of children at a camp. They arrested him because they don't have laws to try to execute mass murderers, and now he's become one of the most popular and influential people in the white supremacy movement. It's absolutely horrible. Trump also said that we need to move on mental health. Clearly, there's an issue with all these mass shootings going on, despite what they're influenced by, but obviously there's a mental health issue in this country. We see people being overprescribed medicines. We see people, there's no way all these people have just gone crazy. There's absolutely a mental health issue, and we have to address it as a country. And President Trump said as much. He also condemned violent video games. Now, personally, I don't necessarily agree with this. I played plenty of violent video games in my life, and I've never been compelled to go shoot anybody. I would actually disagree with the president on this and say it goes back to mental health. People in bad states of mental health absolutely cannot go around and play violent video games and think that they're going to come out okay, but that's a mental health issue. That's not a content issue. Are we just going to start banning all of our movies and TV shows that have guns too? Because that's what that would imply. Interestingly enough, President Trump did suggest that we should institute what are known as red flag laws, which help provide information to gun shop owners so that they don't sell to people that have been shown any kind of mental illness. One of the shooters, for instance, had actually been banned from his own high school because they found a list that he had created that showed him that was a plan of how to shoot up his own school. Clearly, this guy should have never had his hands on a gun because he was planning a school shooting, and yet he got one instantly. So President Trump's 100% right about that, 100%. The other thing is, President Trump actually tweeted his support for background checks. Now, he didn't follow it up in a press conference by mentioning it, but he did 100% support background checks in a tweet this morning about the gun shooting. He's not your traditional no background checks, no red flag laws Republican. Donald Trump is the only president who's ever used an executive order to ban bump stocks. Media doesn't talk about that because they're worried about him picking up moderates for it, but that's the honest to God truth. President Trump has been proactive on gun laws. He does have a strong opinion on this, and He has not endorsed white supremacy. Doesn't do it. That's a media lie. That's a Democrat lie. It's all made up. The reality is Trump is the president of the United States. He cares about the American people, and we should respect him for it. Not every idea he has is going to be 100% right, but he does care. And the bashing against him, it's gross. It's sick. We should be spending our time going after these horrible gunmen and trying to make sure that shootings like this don't happen by giving Americans the help they need to deal with their mental issues. It's gross. It's horrible. That's it for the shooting, guys. I'll go on ahead and let you know that apparently earlier today, China has actually been trying to manipulate their currency again to lower the value to beat us in a trade war. But that's because they're terrified of us. They're worried that if Trump gets elected again, they're going to have to curtail to U.S. power because we provide most of their income for them, and they're never going to be able to survive. All the rumors that China's a more powerful economy than us are 100% wrong. They said that in the next 20 years they could catch up to us, and that's why we have to stop it right now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been the Ben Goldman Show, again, early August. If you like the show, please follow me on Facebook.com at Facebook. If you like the show, guys, please follow me on Facebook.com/Ben Goldman Show, on Twitter at RealDannyGold, or you can download my podcast at bengoldman.podbean.com. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and looking forward to bringing you the news again tomorrow.